This adventurous story begins with a man named Victor, who is just waking up from his sleep. When Victor opened his eyes, he couldn't remember anything about his past. As he stood up and looked around his room, everything seemed incomplete. There were also buildings and the architecture of a city around him. Suddenly, Victor's gaze went upwards, where everything was beginning to black out. It looked like everything was decaying. As Victor, shocked, observed the various items in his house, he realized that everything was blacking out. His mind was now completely overwhelmed. That's why Victor decided to leave the building. However, he was now completely shocked because everything was starting to black out. Everything around him was half finished. The tall buildings, towers, and bridges had all been completely destroyed. At one point, Victor felt as if he were in a dream world. He felt that he was witnessing a dream when suddenly some people passed by him, whose bodies were also incomplete. Many people had half their bodies missing. Suddenly, Victor's gaze fell on a dark shadow above a building, which was continuously moving towards him. It was a very dangerous black shadow that was coming closer to kill Victor. But just as it attacked, someone countered the black shadow. Two men and a woman had arrived at the scene, helping Victor to get up. They needed to escape quickly because this dark shadow could become alive at any moment. The three of them started to take Victor to a safer place. Within a short time, the black shadow completely recovered and began to chase them. Now they had reached a place where there was a chasm below. Victor couldn't figure out how they would proceed, but then one man said, "You just have to jump. You will land safely below." Victor was pushed and fell directly from such a height. But they didn't stop there because the black shadow was still chasing them. So, one of the three decided that he would save the others by sacrificing his own life. He took a very powerful bomb in his hand. He started moving toward the black shadow, which attacked him. At that moment, the man activated the bomb, causing a massive explosion that completely destroyed the black shadow. The two remaining people, feeling very disheartened, continued to lead Victor away from the scene. Victor was confused, so he approached the lady named Fly to talk. Victor asked her what this strange place was. Fly explained that this was a world of coma, meaning that if a person fell into a coma in the real world, they would end up in this world. This meant that Victor was also in a coma. Victor had another question. Why were all these things so incomplete? Fly replied that these were all memories of people, and it wasn't necessary for those memories to be clear, as they started forgetting everything once they fell into a coma. Fly then took Victor to their hiding spot, which was located in the sky. The three of them entered a teleporting bus, which brought them to their hideout. After showing Victor his room, he asked about the black shadow. Fly explained that when a person dies in a coma state, they convert into that black shadow. Those black shadow entities were called creepers and were very dangerous. Before leaving, Fly told Victor that whatever dreams he had in this world would gradually begin to come true. So, Victor fell asleep and began to imagine. In this imagination, for some reason, Victor found himself in a car accident and didn't understand why he was having these dreams. When Victor opened his eyes, he found a car in his room, which was also quite incomplete, just like what he had seen in his dreams. When Victor approached the car, he found himself inside it, injured. At that moment, a man named Brat entered Victor's room, who had saved his life. Brat said that as soon as Victor arrived, he began seeing all these dreams, which made him suspect that Victor might possess a lot of powers. Brat informed Victor that in the coma world, we all have different types of powers, and we just need to trust ourselves to bring them out. To help Victor unlock his powers, Brat brought in a robot for training. Despite taking many hits, Victor was unable to defend himself and kept falling down. Everyone started laughing, and then Brat asked Victor what he did in the real world. Victor replied, "I was an architect in the real world." The next day, Brat, Fly, and their teammates were going on a mission to retrieve weapons and ammunition from a base, taking Victor along just to help carry bags. Upon reaching the base, they were attacked by numerous security guards. However, Brat's team was skilled and coordinated, and they managed to defeat the guards. Afterward, they entered a chamber where they needed to steal nuclear bombs and weapons. They started collecting ammunition, but from a distance, 3 Black Shadow Reapers approached them. Everyone in the team became very frightened because if the Reapers killed them, they would also be converted into Reapers. An elderly man was trying to retrieve the ammunition, and if it fell, the entire area could explode. With no other options, Victor focused on using his mind. He tried to create something unusual to ensure the bomb landed safely. As Victor concentrated, something strange began to form, allowing the bomb to slide down safely. Brat's team managed to escape the 3 Reapers and reach their base safely. Once they arrived, everyone praised Victor for his efforts. Among them was an old man named Charlie, who had been in this world the longest. Charlie told Victor that he had the ability to invent and create anything, meaning he was a great architect in this world, capable of making anything with his mind. Charlie knew that this Coma world was completely incomplete. That's why Charlie was telling Victor to work on his abilities and create a city where everyone could live well, ensuring that the Reapers couldn't enter that place. Victor felt happy that everyone was starting to see him as very valuable, so he agreed to the task. He began to practice diligently, using his mind to construct impressive structures. The group arrived at the place where Victor needed to build a large city. However, suddenly, some Reapers appeared and began attacking everyone. No one understood how the Reapers had discovered their location. Just then, Brad ran in and directly grabbed Victor, pulling a tracking device from his pocket. Brad was saying that all this happened because of Victor. But then, unexpectedly, Brad's hand started to transform into that of a Reaper's because he had been bitten on the hand during the fight. As Brad was about to reveal the true culprit, Charlie shot him, causing Brad to die immediately. However, he would soon convert into a dangerous Reaper. Now, Victor and the others began to flee for their lives. Victor wanted to use his mind to create many walls for protection, but he became so exhausted that he started to faint. The next moment, he collapsed right there. Then, Victor suddenly opened his eyes to see visions in the real world, where Fly was also present. In reality, Fly and Victor knew each other and were good friends, but they had no memory of their relationship after falling into a coma. Victor noticed that he was entering a hospital with Fly, but only he was allowed inside while Fly was kept outside. After entering the large hospital, he saw Charlie, who had been part of their team in the Coma world. Charlie was now telling Victor about an experiment. He took Victor to a chamber where many patients were lying down. In fact, Charlie was deliberately sending many people into a coma because, in the coma, they could do things that were impossible in real life. Now, Charlie tells Victor that he is a good architect and that he needs him in the Coma world so they can use his mind to create many different things. Victor absolutely did not want to go into a coma, so he started to leave. But Charlie's men began to forcefully restrain Victor. Victor tried to escape from them in any way he could and immediately got into Fly's car, asking him to drive away from there. Fly was confused and couldn't understand what had happened to Victor. As she turned back to ask, they got into an accident with a truck, and both of them lost consciousness right there. Now, Charlie's men captured both of them and took them back to their facility. Charlie told Victor, "I'm now sending you to the Coma world, where you can build large cities. And if you want to come back afterward, you can." We are then shown Brad in the real world, who no longer had both of his legs. However, after entering the Coma world, he was able to walk well. Charlie said, "Your friends need you in the Coma world, so you have to go back." Victor was immediately sent to the Coma world, opening his eyes in the same room where he first entered the Coma world. Victor's friends were in great trouble, so he arrived there and focused his mind to create a very large structure. He was building a huge city where everyone could live peacefully without any threat from the Black Reapers. It was astonishing that Victor's mind creation powers had significantly increased. Within just a few hours, he had prepared a massive city. Now Charlie had also arrived, but some changes in his behavior were noticeable. He began to tell Victor, Fly, and the others that a strange liquid had been injected into all of their bodies. As a result, you will die in the real world within just a few minutes. And if you die in the real world, your existence in the Coma world will also cease. This clearly meant that Charlie had deceived all of them, and now he entered the large city created by Victor, where he would reign alone. Within just a few seconds, all of Victor's companions began to black out, meaning they were dying in the real world as well. Therefore, Victor, Fly, and one of his companions quickly started to escape. The companion mentioned that they needed to find a connection within the Coma world that bound the real world together. This meant Victor and Fly had to locate the hospital and the chamber where they were trapped in the real world. After a lot of searching, they did find the hospital, but Victor's third companion had completely blacked out. Victor kept focusing his mind, trying to figure out what that connecting thing was. But then Charlie appeared before him, and he absolutely did not want Victor to leave. Victor was trying very hard to stop Charlie with his mind creations, but Charlie had many powers that thwarted Victor's attempts. Suddenly, a Reaper attacked Charlie from behind. Charlie was now completely finished, but that Reaper did not attack Victor and Fly because it was none other than Victor's friend Brad. Now, Victor and Fly began to move toward the large structure that connected to the real world. Once they reached there, both of them blacked out immediately. Finally, Victor opened his eyes in the real world, which was the same hospital. Victor hurriedly went to wake up Fly, and they both looked very happy to be back together. They left that place and lived their lives happily ever after. Victor happily resumed his job as an architect, and this brings our story to an end.